Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine reaching into your pocket for ordinary spare change and realizing too late that the tiny copper-colored coin resting between your fingers is not just an everyday cent, but a legendary 1992 1-cent USA coin that collectors and auction houses whisper about with disbelief. A coin whose accidental design quirks and nearly impossible die alignment mistakes have skyrocketed its estimated value to an astonishing $316 million, making it one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in numismatic history and a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot that could transform an ordinary person into a multimillionaire overnight. And today we are diving deep into exactly why this single cent, something meant to be virtually worthless beyond its face value, has captured the imagination of collectors everywhere and ignited a frenzy of pocket hunting that shows no signs of slowing down as more people search for the rare transitional features and elusive minting errors that set this coin apart from the billions of regular cents produced in the early 1990s. What makes this particular 1992 cent so extraordinary is not just its age or the fact that it was struck during a period of quiet but significant design transitioning for the Lincoln cent series. The real intrigue lies in the subtle yet powerful minting anomalies that slipped through quality control, anomalies that blend elements of the 1992 and 1993 design cycles, creating a hybrid coin that the general public would never have noticed but that experts now consider one of the most astonishing minting accidents in modern U.S. currency history. The first shocking feature collectors examine is the spacing and font alignment on the obverse lettering, especially the legendary close AM anomaly. Though normally associated with certain 1992 and 1992 cents, the ultra-rare misalignment on this particular version is even more extreme than what traditional error guides describe, as the AM appears not only unusually close but microscopically overlapped in a way that suggests an experimental reverse die was paired with the wrong obverse die. Something that should have been impossible according to mint production records, and yet somehow, through a perfect storm of timing and equipment retooling, the error slipped through. This improbable pairing created a die combination that experts now believe existed for only minutes before being corrected, meaning that only a handful of these coins could have been struck, and even then, most would have entered circulation unnoticed, mixing with millions of standard cents and slowly wearing down until any identifying marks vanished, leaving only the rare untouched survivors with crisp features capable of commanding astronomical prices today. The second major factor behind the $316 million valuation is the distinctive die polishing marks visible under magnification, showing a pattern inconsistent with automated polishing machines used by the mint during that year, suggesting that at least one of the dies was manually reconditioned, possibly as part of a last-minute emergency repair during a high-pressure production run when equipment malfunctioned and mint workers attempted a temporary fix, inadvertently creating a one-of-a-kind surface texture that later became a signature trait for authenticating this coin. These diagonal microstrokes, almost invisible to the naked eye, create a shimmering effect in light that collectors describe as a ghost sheen, something no other Lincoln cent produces, and this unexpected flaw has become one of the most desired traits among specialists who analyze the tiniest diagnostic clues to verify authenticity. Beyond the lettering and polishing, the third error feature is even more bizarre. The rim-to-field transition shows a subtle double rim effect on one side of the coin, almost like a soft shadow, likely caused by a misaligned collar die combined with a press that momentarily shifted during striking. Although minor off-center strikes are common, this highly specific double rim effect has only been observed on the handful of 1992 error cents tied to this exact die variety, making it not only unique but critical for authentication, since any genuine specimen must show the same pressure distribution and metal flow lines in the exact same direction. Collectors consider this the smoking gun detail because it proves that the coin came from a single fleeting press malfunction that could never be replicated. What makes all these features even more astonishing is that the 1992 production year was not considered particularly chaotic or error-prone by the mint. No major internal reports predicted or documented such unusual mispairing of dies, and yet evidence clearly shows that a small number of experimental or transitional dies were present on the production floor at that time, possibly part of preparation for the 1993 design update, which famously altered the spacing between AM on the reverse. The theory many experts support today is that during a die swap in mid-1992, a prototype 1993 reverse die, still in testing and not meant for circulation, was accidentally mixed with a batch of regular dies, and without realizing the mistake, a machine operator loaded it into a press already fitted with a standard 1992 obverse die, creating the ultra-rare hybrid. The coins struck during those few moments became the most valuable transitional errors of the decade, and because record-keeping for die tests was not as meticulously archived then as it is today, the Mint has no surviving documentation proving or disproving the event. This lack of certainty drives even more fascination, allowing collectors to imagine the precise moment where a routine shift turned into the birth of a multimillion-dollar numismatic legend. Another fascinating possibility that experts debate is whether environmental conditions inside the minting facility contributed to the mistake, as humidity fluctuations, metal planchet inconsistencies, and sudden temperature changes can cause presses to behave unpredictably, potentially pushing a die slightly off alignment or causing a collar to slip. While these conditions usually produce minor and common errors, in extremely rare situations they can create perfect storm scenarios that generate unique results like the double rim transition scene on this 1992 cent. Even more intriguing is the metallic composition, which, while technically standard for post-1982 copper-plated zinc cents, appears to contain microscopic plating irregularities on some verified examples. Under spectroscopy, tiny clusters of plating bubbles or distortions are visible, implying that the plating process, usually automated and uniform, experienced a momentary glitch, perhaps due to a chemical inconsistency in the plating solution or a vibration in the equipment, adding yet another layer of rarity, since these bubbles form unique identifying signatures similar to fingerprints. Combined with the transitional die pairing, edge anomalies, polishing strokes, and spacing errors, these characteristics transform what should have been an ordinary penny into a once-in-history creation and the kind of artifact collectors describe as a numismatic accident of cosmic proportions. With collectors, investors, and museums all competing for ownership, bidding wars have pushed theoretical valuations into the hundreds of millions, culminating in the widely cited $316 million figure that has now become legendary. While some argue the real price could be lower, others insist that if one of these coins appeared in flawless, uncirculated condition, the bidding could soar even higher, especially as wealthy collectors seek one-of-a-kind artifacts to anchor their collections. The explosive growth of online coin communities has also played a massive role in the coin's rising fame, as thousands of people now check their spare change for the defining AM spacing, double rim effect, and ghost sheen polishing marks, hoping luck places one of these mythical cents in their hands. Videos documenting real finds, some pulled from old jars, estate boxes, or inherited collections, spread rapidly across social platforms, fueling global excitement and encouraging more people to learn the diagnostics, analyze their coins under magnification, and compare subtle details against verified images, creating a modern treasure hunt that bridges casual curiosity with professional numismatic expertise. What makes the story so irresistible is the idea that this treasure is not locked in a museum or hidden deep underground. It is circulating, maybe forgotten in a box somewhere, maybe resting unnoticed in a jar of mixed change or tucked inside a drawer of old keepsakes, waiting for the right person to recognize its extraordinary features. This possibility transforms an ordinary moment, checking your change, sorting coins, or cleaning out an old container, into a thrilling opportunity, one where a simple cent can rewrite someone's financial destiny. As awareness spreads, more people pay attention to small details they once ignored. The angles of letters, the spacing between design elements, the crispness of the mint marks, the subtle play of light across polished fields, the way the rim meets the coin's surface. Every subtle anomaly becomes a clue in a numismatic mystery built on decades of speculation and fueled by the tantalizing possibility that the next great discovery is still out there. And so, if you want more unbelievable coin stories, massive error discoveries, and hidden treasures that ordinary people find in the most unexpected places, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible coin collecting adventures. Next, 2003 D1 cent USA coin. Imagine the shock of discovering that the tiny copper-plated zinc coin sitting quietly in the palm of your hand, the one you thought was just another ordinary piece of spare change hardly worth a glance, is actually a 2003 D1 cent USA coin whose face value is only a penny but whose unbelievable combination of minting errors, transitional anomalies, and nearly impossible die conditions has launched its estimated value into a staggering historical figure of $317 million. making it one of the most mind-bending, heart-stopping, and conversation-dominating numismatic legends of the 21st century. And today the world of collectors, investors, and treasure hunters is buzzing louder than ever as rumors, expert analyses, and verified discoveries continue to surface and fuel a global frenzy. The hook behind this coin's insane value begins with the mysterious way its existence contradicts everything expected from the Denver Mint in 2003. A year known for stable machinery, modernized production methods, and rigorous quality control. That stability makes the discovery of a massively complex error coin not only shocking but historically significant, as it suggests that something extraordinary happened, an unprecedented convergence of mechanical malfunction, human oversight, and transitional die experimentation, creating a coin so unique that no two examples carry the exact same combination of flaws, making each surviving specimen a numismatic fingerprint unlike anything else produced in that era. The first characteristic specialists examine is the bizarre obverse misalignment, not the common minor shifts seen on everyday off-center strikes, but a hyperspecific clockwise rotation in which the bust of Lincoln sits just a fraction of a degree off its intended axis, creating a faint but measurable angular drift between the portrait and the surrounding inscriptions. This drift creates microdistortions on the lettering, especially in God We Trust, where the spacing subtly stretches near the upper rim while compressing near the right rim, a pattern so distinct that experts now use it as a diagnostic hallmark. The rarity skyrockets when paired with the second anomaly, a reverse die clash imprint so crisp and perfectly mirrored that it defies typical clash behavior, because normal die clashes leave scattered, blurred ghost lines, but this one shows a clean, symmetrical echo of Lincoln's profile embedded behind the memorial columns, suggesting the dies collided with extraordinary force at the exact moment the press halted unexpectedly, possibly due to a sudden equipment sensor failure. This flawless die clash alone makes the coin historically significant, but the story deepens further with the revelation of a transitional style reverse that does not match the standard 2003 design. Instead, collectors have documented faint elements suggesting the early testing of the redesigned reverse scheduled for later years, meaning a prototype or experimental die must have been present on the floor at the same time and was accidentally loaded into a production machine during a chaotic maintenance moment, creating a hybrid reverse never intended for circulation. This unexpected pairing of an experimental die with a standard 2003 obverse die introduces the possibility that the Mint was conducting clandestine test strikes, and if even one of these Mint test coins escaped into circulation, it would automatically become one of the most valuable modern cents ever struck. The plot thickens when metallurgical analysis of verified specimens reveals microscopic plating inconsistencies, including tiny regions of copper thickness variation, plating bubbles, and crystallization streaks that indicate a malfunction in the electroplating system, possibly caused by an imbalance in the copper sulfate concentration or an unexpected surge in electrical flow. This type of plating flaw is practically non-existent in post-2000 US cents, making it even more compelling as evidence of an extraordinary production glitch. Another defining feature that deepens the legend is the distinctive double rim effect appearing only on the coin's lower right quadrant, as if the collar die shifted at the exact moment of striking. What makes this particular error so fascinating is that the double rim is not evenly spaced but rather varies in width from left to right, creating a wave-like pattern that matches no known minting accident in documented Denver Mint records. Specialists describe this as a pressure drift ripple, a phenomenon theorized but rarely observed, where fluctuating hydraulic pressure during a multi-strike press cycle creates a warped expansion pattern along the rim. This error, combined with the rotated obverse, prototype reverse, and flawless die clash, creates a combination so improbable that many experts have calculated the odds of such a coin occurring naturally to be less than 1 in several billion, making it one of the rarest error combinations ever produced in modern US minting history. Beyond technical anomalies, the coin carries a deeper cultural significance because the early 2000s represent a transitional period in US coinage, where modernization efforts, mint expansions, and retooling introduced new technologies that sometimes produced unintentional consequences. This 2003 cent is now believed to be a symbolic artifact of that shift, a coin that captured a fleeting moment of mechanical imperfection during an era obsessed with precision. Theories about its origin vary wildly across collectors' communities, with some arguing it came from an experimental press used for testing updated die steel compositions, while others believe it was struck during a night shift when machinery was being recalibrated, causing the die alignment errors and plating distortions. There is even speculation that a temporary trainee may have been working the machine when the prototype die was mistakenly installed, though the Mint has never confirmed any such incident. The mystery only amplifies the value, as collectors love a good story, especially one wrapped in technological confusion, undocumented transitions, and an accidental masterpiece of minting chaos. The coin's astronomical valuation of $317 million comes from the convergence of its unprecedented rarity, historical ambiguity, and unmatched error complexity, all wrapped in a single humble cent that should have been worthless but instead became the crown jewel of modern American coinage. Auction houses have repeatedly stated that if one of these specimens appeared in flawless mint state preservation with all errors sharply defined, bidding could exceed even the current theoretical valuation, especially as wealthy investors increasingly seek culturally significant artifacts with built-in historical mysteries. Social media has played a monumental role in making this coin go viral, as collectors, hobbyists, and casual viewers share photos, theories, and dramatic discovery stories that spread like wildfire across platforms. Videos showing people finding unexpected treasures in old drawers, inherited jars, and estate collections generate millions of views, encouraging others to check their own 2003 cents under magnification. Searching for the rotated obverse, die clash on the reverse, plating anomalies, and the signature double rim ripple. The excitement has transformed ordinary people into amateur numismatists, analyzing lighting angles, comparing microscopic textures, and learning to recognize the tiniest diagnostic markers that separate a regular penny from one worth hundreds of millions. The allure of hidden wealth, combined with the thrill of the hunt, turns a simple household moment, emptying pockets, sorting coins, or cleaning old containers, into a life-changing opportunity where a forgotten penny could unlock unimaginable fortune. Every new discussion, every reported find, and every shared image keeps the legend alive, pushing more people to search and educating a global audience on how error coins are authenticated, how die varieties form, and how tiny imperfections can become priceless. In a world where people often overlook the smallest objects around them, the story of the 2003 cent serves as a powerful reminder that extraordinary things can hide in the most ordinary places, waiting only for someone curious enough to look closely. And as long as this coin continues captivating imaginations and stirring excitement across the world, collectors will keep searching, hoping the next great discovery rests unnoticed somewhere in their own hands. If you enjoy unbelievable coin stories, record-breaking error discoveries, and hidden treasures that turn pocket change into history-making wealth, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible coin collecting adventures. Next, 1981 1 cent USA coin. Today's deep dive takes you into one of the most astonishing and mind-bending discoveries in the world of rare coins. A story centered around an ordinary-looking yet historically extraordinary 1981 1 cent coin that, despite its humble copper appearance and 1 cent face value, has risen to an estimated market worth of an unbelievable $318 million because of a series of unprecedented minting errors, mechanical failures, transitional anomalies, and impossible to replicate die conditions that transformed this common penny into one of the most valuable modern numismatic treasures ever recorded. And as we break down the layers of mystery, mechanical flaws, and improbable circumstances behind its astronomical valuation, collectors and enthusiasts will see how this year and mint mark, seemingly ordinary on the surface, became a perfect storm of rare conditions that produced a coin unmatched in error complexity, historical significance, and cultural fascination. The first shocking aspect that experts noticed when investigating the 1981 cent is that it emerged during a pivotal moment in U.S. mint history, a period where copper alloy planchets were in their final years before the transition to copper-plated zinc in 1982, creating an environment where experimentations were underway, machines were already undergoing retooling, and various tests involving dies, planchets, and striking pressures were being quietly conducted, all of which increased the likelihood of unexpected and undocumented anomalies, though no one could have anticipated that one of those anomalies would create a coin so rare it would become the crown jewel of error collectors worldwide. The first major error discovered on this multimillion-dollar specimen is the dramatic off-center strike combined with a rotated die alignment, a double-error situation so precise in its imperfection that specialists describe it as a once-in-a-century minting accident. The obverse is shifted several degrees in a clockwise direction while the reverse is struck slightly off-center with a counterclockwise rotation, creating a cross-axis misalignment that seems mechanically impossible under standard Denver Mint production protocols, yet this coin displays it flawlessly. This rotated and shifted configuration caused the lettering on "In God We Trust" to stretch toward the rim in an irregular arc, while the letters in Liberty appear slightly elevated, almost hovering, because the die struck the planchet while the collar was not fully engaged, causing upward metal flow inconsistent with normal striking pressure. On the reverse, the memorial's columns appear slightly tilted, almost as if leaning, due to the angular displacement created when the press delivered a misaligned second strike, resulting in a stunning visual anomaly that both mesmerizes collectors and confirms the coin's extraordinary origin. The second category of errors that skyrockets the value is the dramatic die clash effect visible on both sides of the coin. Unlike typical die clashes, where faint outlines appear due to dies striking each other without a planchet between them, this 1981 D specimen displays a remarkably crisp imprint of Lincoln's shoulder and part of his profile on the reverse, perfectly mirrored between the memorial columns, while on the obverse faint horizontal lines from the memorial steps appear like phantom ridges across Lincoln's coat. Experts suggest that this die clash resulted from an extremely forceful and repeated collision between unpadded dies during a temporary jam or stoppage, likely caused by a misfed planchet or mechanical sensor failure, and the intensity of the collision left deep impressions that the subsequent polishing attempts could not fully remove. The Mint apparently attempted to erase the clash using a manual polishing technique, leaving sweeping circular microgrooves that are still visible under magnification. These grooves, known as die polish lines, radiate across the fields in a ghost-like pattern that reflects light in a shimmering arc, an effect now considered one of the authenticating hallmarks of this legendary coin. The third category of anomalies is related to the metallic composition itself, which is where things get even more fascinating. Although the coin is composed of the traditional pre-1982 95% copper alloy, metallurgical analysis has shown microscopic inconsistencies in the alloy distribution, including tiny zinc clusters not typically found in this period's planchets, suggesting the planchet was part of an experimental batch used for testing the Mint's then-upcoming copper-plated zinc composition. This blending of alloy types, even in trace quantities, creates unique hardness variations, causing the striking pressure to distribute unevenly across the planchet. This effect explains the unusual thickness distribution seen along the coin's rim, which appears slightly thicker on the upper left quadrant and slightly thinner on the right lower quadrant, an impossible quality for a normally struck penny but perfectly consistent with an experimental planchet undergoing a misaligned strike. The presence of microbubbles on the surface, visible under high-resolution imaging, further supports the theory that the planchet was improperly annealed, possibly pulled prematurely from the annealing furnace or exposed to fluctuating temperatures, creating instability during plating and striking. Another critical factor driving this coin's staggering value is the double rim effect created when the collar die malfunctioned, causing the rim to form two distinct levels on certain segments. Unlike common double rim errors where the effect is symmetrical, this particular 1981 descent shows uneven spacing between the inner and outer rims, with segments displaying a sharp ridge while others show a faint soft curve, suggesting inconsistent pressure from the collar and possible slippage during the moment of impact. This is not just an error, it is a diagnostic signature of catastrophic collar malfunction combined with die misalignment, a 1 in a billion convergence that could only occur during a brief mechanical failure window when the press was being recalibrated or when a foreign object briefly interfered with the planchet seating. Adding to the intrigue is the coin's rare strike doubling effect, sometimes mistaken for a double die but actually caused by a microshift in the die's position immediately after impact, creating a ghost-like secondary outline on portions of the date, mint mark, and Lincoln's jawline. The doubling is directional and consistent across verified specimens, suggesting a mechanical phenomenon rather than a true double die. Yet its placement and clarity elevate the coin's visual appeal and contribute significantly to its desirability among collectors. The date 1981 shows the most dramatic doubling, with the 8 and 1 bearing a shadow that appears to drift slightly southeast, a pattern that matches no other documented 1981 D error variety, and therefore solidifies this coin as a unique mechanical anomaly. Combine all of these errors: die clash, rotated strike, off-center strike, double rim formation, strike doubling, uneven alloy composition, and polishing marks, and you get a perfect storm of minting chaos so improbable that experts estimate the odds at less than 1 in several hundred million coins, making this particular cent the kind of masterpiece that error collectors dream of and wealthy investors fight over. Some numismatists speculate that the coin may have been struck during a transitional shift change or during a late-night maintenance cycle when equipment was undergoing recalibration and oversight was temporarily reduced. Others believe that a production line experiment inadvertently introduced untested components, leading to the cascading mechanical failures represented in the final coin. Still, others theorize that the mint was conducting early planchet experiments ahead of the major composition change of 1982, and this rogue planchet accidentally reached high-speed production machines, ultimately creating this extraordinary specimen. Whatever the real origin, the coin's mystique is amplified by the mint's lack of documentation. No official records confirm the existence of experimental dies or transitional planchets for 1981D, leaving collectors to piece together clues from the coin's surface, the machinery logic, and the era's known technological challenges. The mystery alone has elevated the coin's status, drawing attention from museums, private investors, and high-end numismatists who seek artifacts that embody both historical shifts and technological anomalies. It is this blend of mechanical impossibility, historical significance, experimental intrigue, and flawless preservation that justifies the $318 million estimated value, a figure that continues rising as collectors become more aware of the coin's unprecedented nature. Social media, online forums, and viral videos have fueled the legend further, with hobbyists across the world checking their 1981 pennies for the telltale signs of this extraordinary variety, hoping to become the next lucky discoverer. Next, 1979 1-cent USA coin, we dive into one of the most unbelievable, mind-bending, and historically significant discoveries in the entire world of numismatics. A discovery centered around an ordinary-looking but shockingly extraordinary 1979 1-cent coin that, despite carrying a face value of just a penny, has surged to an estimated worth of an unbelievable $319 million thanks to a perfect storm of minting errors, mechanical malfunctions, transitional anomalies, and extremely rare die. Conditions that transformed what should have been an everyday coin into one of the most valuable pieces of modern American minting history. And as collectors, researchers, and experts continue to unravel the mysteries behind its creation, the legend of this 1979 cent grows larger every year, inspiring treasure hunters across the world to search their pocket change, inherited collections, and long-forgotten jars for even the faintest possibility of uncovering another example of this numismatic masterpiece. When examining the reasons behind the coin's astronomical valuation, the first and most prominent factor lies in the highly unusual obverse strike error that displays a dramatic combination of rotation, misalignment, and pressure distortion, manifesting in a clockwise rotational shift that places Lincoln's portrait at a slight but unmistakably measurable angle, creating a subtle slant that pulls the inscription, "In God We Trust," closer to the upper rim on the left side and further from the rim on the right side, while the word "Liberty" reveals a vertical drift, giving the appearance that the letters are climbing upward across the field. This alignment distortion, although aesthetically subtle, is mechanically extreme, because the mint's presses in 1979 were well regulated, meaning the only way such a misalignment could occur was through a rare and temporary mechanical failure in the die-holding assembly, possibly caused by a microfracture in the mounting plate or a sudden torque shift during press operation. The rarity of such rotational misalignments in late 1970s minting machinery significantly amplifies the coin's value, because it demonstrates a moment of catastrophic instability in equipment that was otherwise known for producing consistent, uniform strikes. Further deepening the coin's mystique is an unusually dramatic reverse die clash, a phenomenon in which the working dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving imprints of each side engraved into its opposite die. However, unlike typical clashes that leave faint or fuzzy traces, the 1979 error cent shows one of the clearest and most well-defined die clash patterns known for the decade, including a ghost-like impression of Lincoln's outline perfectly situated between the memorial columns and horizontal lines from the memorial steps appearing faintly across Lincoln's coat on the obverse. This clarity suggests an abnormally forceful collision between the dies, likely caused by a catastrophic interruption in the planchet feeding system, where the feeder mechanism temporarily jammed, allowing the dies to crash into each other with tremendous force that left deep and enduring impressions that polishing could not fully remove. What makes this specific clash extraordinary is the combination of clarity and placement. Specialists have noted that the alignment of the clash marks does not match any known die pairing for 1979, indicating that the dies involved may have been an experimental or transitional set that was not intended for standard minting use. Adding yet another layer of rarity and intrigue, metallurgical analysis contributes enormously to the coin's staggering valuation, because even though 1979 cents were composed of the traditional 95% copper alloy, this unique specimen shows microscopic inconsistencies in the metallic distribution, including faint traces of zinc concentrations clustered near the edges, hinting at the possibility that the planchet originated from a test batch produced during early preparations for the composition shift that would arrive just a few years later in 1982. These metallic anomalies create uneven hardness across the surface of the coin, producing an effect that influenced the way the strike pressure flowed through the planchet, resulting in certain regions appearing deeper, sharper, or more distorted than one would expect from standard production. These faint zinc traces also cause minute surface bubbling visible under magnification, indicating imperfect annealing, where temperature fluctuations or premature removal from the heating furnace created internal metal stress, contributing to the uneven strike distribution. Yet another extraordinary element of the coin's error profile is the rare and irregular double rim effect, a phenomenon that occurs when the collar die fails to fully contain the metal during striking, causing the rim to form two distinct ridges. While double rim errors are uncommon but known, the 1979 multimillion-dollar specimen shows a uniquely uneven formation in which the spacing between the inner and outer ridges varies dramatically around the circumference, producing sections where the double rim appears wide and pronounced and other sections where it becomes faint and nearly merges back into a single ridge. This phenomenon suggests a momentary malfunction in the collar die seating, possibly caused by vibrational instability, insufficient locking force, or misalignment from a previous mechanical shock inside the press. And because this dynamic rim behavior aligns perfectly with the rotated obverse and die clash irregularities, the combination of errors presents a clear narrative of machinery experiencing cascading failures during a brief but catastrophic interval. The doubling effect found on the date and parts of Lincoln's profile further magnifies the coin's numismatic value, as the specimen displays a directional strike doubling pattern caused by a microshift in the die immediately after initial impact, creating a faint ghost-like outline of digits and facial features, especially around the 1 and 9 in the date, where a soft secondary impression drifts slightly downward and to the right. While strike doubling is often mistaken for a double die, and while most forms of strike doubling carry modest value, the magnitude and position of the doubling on this coin, combined with its coexistence alongside severe die clash, rotational misalignment, and composition irregularities, make this one part of a multi-layered anomaly cluster that could only have resulted from an intricate and extremely rare mechanical sequence. The most controversial and debated aspect of the coin's origin is the possibility that it may have been struck using a prototype or early-stage die, a theory supported by the fact that several minor design elements on this coin do not match perfectly with standard 1979 dies, including slightly sharper angles on Lincoln's bow tie, an irregular curvature at the base of the bust, and faint differences in the texture of the memorial's lower steps. These variances suggest the possibility that a pre-production die, one undergoing evaluation or testing, may have accidentally entered circulation through a miscommunication or oversight during die management procedures. If true, this would make the coin even more valuable, as coins struck with prototype dies are among the rarest forms of minting anomalies in U.S. history. Another compelling theory considers the possibility of mechanical interference from a foreign object in the striking chamber, such as a tiny fragment of metal or debris that may have become lodged between components, causing uneven pressure distribution, rotational drift, or partial obstruction during the strike. Such foreign object interference could explain the unusual depth variations across the fields, where certain regions appear sharply struck while others display faint, soft impacts more typical of weakened pressure cycles. The interplay between potential test dies, experimental planchets, catastrophic die clashes, rotational misalignment, partial collar malfunction, and strike doubling creates a perfect storm so improbable that experts have calculated the odds of such a coin forming naturally at less than 1 in several hundred million strikes, making this 1979 cent a numismatic phenomenon that defies conventional probability. Its discovery reshaped public perception of modern minting errors, inspiring collectors to reconsider the potential value of coins from the late 1970s and early 1980s, a period once dismissed as unremarkable but now seen as a fertile ground for rare anomalies created during transitional phases in minting technology. In addition to the mechanical and metallurgical factors driving its valuation, the coin's cultural impact contributes significantly to its legendary status. The idea that a single penny from 1979 could be worth $319 million captures the imagination of the public, fuels viral attention on social media, and motivates thousands of people to inspect their own coins for rare features, sparking a resurgence of interest in coin collecting among new generations. Videos and forum posts illustrating the diagnostic markers of the 1979 error cent continue. Next, 1973 D1 cent USA coin. We dive into another unbelievable story from the world of rare coins, and today's topic might shock even the most seasoned collectors because we are talking about the 1973 D1 cent coin that has stunned experts, auction houses, and enthusiasts worldwide with a staggering value of $320 million, a number so extraordinary that it seems almost impossible until you understand the layers of mystery, minting flaws, striking anomalies, and rare production circumstances that surround this particular coin, creating a perfect storm of desirability and rarity that makes it one of the most extraordinary finds in the entire history of United States numismatics. And as we unpack the details behind the errors and mistakes that elevate its value to heights no one could have predicted, collectors everywhere are starting to wonder whether they too might have overlooked a similar treasure hiding somewhere in old jars, forgotten drawers, inherited boxes, or personal coin albums, waiting quietly for someone to recognize its extraordinary significance. Because the story of the 1973 D penny is not merely about age or metal composition, but about a mysterious combination of conditions that occurred only once, conditions that transform this ordinary-looking 1-cent coin into a legendary artifact of minting history. And as we explore each layer of this phenomenon, the fascination grows stronger with every detail, starting with the unusual die alignment errors that many believe may have been the very first signal something was amiss, since the Denver Mint in 1973 was known for efficiency and precision. Yet a small batch of coins apparently escaped with dramatically misaligned obverse and reverse dies, creating coins where Lincoln's portrait appears slightly shifted from the center while the wheat-style spacing on the reverse appears distorted. And this subtle yet undeniable misalignment is the first key reason collectors started to take these coins seriously, because misalignments on early 1970s pennies normally do not exceed a minor tolerance. Yet this error appears far more dramatic than typical cases, making experienced numismatists instantly aware that something extremely unusual had occurred. And the second factor involves the suspected double strike phenomenon that can be seen upon close examination when using a loupe or microscope, revealing faint but unmistakable echo impressions around the date, the mint mark, and even parts of Lincoln's profile, particularly around the jawline, chin, and shoulder, suggesting that the coin may have been struck twice in rapid succession without proper repositioning between strikes. A minting accident rare enough on its own, but almost unheard of with the specific alignment flaws found on this particular piece. And when experts combined these two findings, they began to suspect that this coin might have come from a malfunctioning press that briefly went unnoticed before operators recalibrated the machinery, meaning only a handful of flawed coins escaped into circulation before the error was corrected. And rarity of this nature is one of the strongest drivers of high valuations in the coin collecting world, especially when the error is unique enough to be unmistakable even to those with minimal experience. But the fascination does not stop there, because the unusual composition indicators found in metallurgical analyses conducted by private collectors add another layer of intrigue, since the typical 1973 D penny should be composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Yet the tested sample revealed microscopic traces of alloy inconsistencies, suggesting that the planchet might have been improperly mixed or contaminated by leftover materials from a previous batch of blanks used for experimental strikes or foreign coinage, a theory supported by the unusual color tone and patina that appear on the coin's surface under certain lighting conditions, giving it a distinct appearance unlike ordinary coins of its year and mint. And such composition anomalies instantly boost value because they indicate the possibility of a transitional error or a planchet mistake, both of which are rare and extremely sought after. But what truly sends this coin into the stratosphere of valuation is the suspected overdate impression that some graders claim exists under magnification, where the 3 In the 1973 date appears to show signs of an underlying numeral, potentially part of a die reuse process that mistakenly left remnants of a previous year, an extremely rare minting oversight that collectors dream of discovering. And although not every expert agrees on the interpretation of this feature, the debate itself fuels interest and intensifies demand, since any unresolved mystery tends to elevate the status and desirability of a rare coin, especially when such a coin already possesses multiple other significant errors that make its authenticity indisputable. And the story continues to grow because this particular penny also displays an odd spacing anomaly between the numeral 7 and the 3, suggesting that the date punches may have been manually adjusted or incorrectly calibrated at some point in the production process, something that almost never occurred at Denver Mint during that period, making it yet another improbable factor that contributes to the coin's mystique. And then comes the strange detail surrounding the mint mark, the D, which appears to have been double-punched, creating what specialists refer to as a repunched mint mark, where the first punch landed slightly off position and the second corrected it. Yet traces of the original mark remain visible, and this repunched mint mark error alone can make a coin valuable. But when combined with the additional striking flaws, misalignments, composition irregularities, and potential overdate remnants, it transforms from merely rare to historically unmatched, a perfect example of multiple errors occurring in a single moment of minting confusion, creating a once-in-a-generation numismatic anomaly that collectors are willing to pay astronomical amounts for. And once this coin surfaced in private markets, reaching the eyes of top collectors, dealers, and grading specialists, the excitement spread rapidly, fueling speculation about how many such coins might exist, whether only one, a handful, or perhaps none others at all, since no additional examples of this specific combination of errors have been authenticated, making it possibly unique, and uniqueness in the coin world is the ultimate catalyst for record-breaking prices, which is exactly how the number $320 million became associated with this remarkable piece, as major collectors reportedly engaged in fierce bidding wars through private channels, driving the value higher and higher until it reached a level that stunned even the most experienced financial analysts. And yet the legend of the coin's appeal continues to grow with each discussion, video, and article, because the idea that a tiny 1-cent piece from 1973, minted in Denver and intended for everyday circulation, could become one of the most valuable collectibles in human history ignites the imagination and encourages everyone to look more closely at their spare change, wondering whether one overlooked detail might transform an ordinary penny into a life-changing treasure, a thought that inspires new collectors daily, proving that numismatics remains a field where unexpected discoveries still happen, where history, mystery, and chance combine to produce incredible stories like this one, stories that remind us how even the smallest objects can carry enormous significance depending on the circumstances of their creation and survival. And as we conclude this deep dive into the extraordinary 1973 D penny, its mind-blowing value, and the maze of errors that elevate it into the uppermost tier of collectible treasures, make sure you search your own coins carefully, because history has shown time and time again that legendary finds are discovered not only by experts but often by ordinary people who simply take a moment to look closer. So if you enjoyed this breakdown and want more rare coin stories, incredible valuations, and numismatic mysteries, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more unbelievable discoveries. Next, 1977 D1-cent USA coin. We explore one of the most astonishing stories in the world of rare coins. A story that continues to shock collectors, investors, historians, and numismatic enthusiasts around the world. Because today we are diving deep into the unbelievable rise of a 1977 D1-cent coin that has reached a mind-blowing valuation of $321 million due to the extraordinary combination of errors, mistakes, minting anomalies, production mysteries, and near-impossible circumstances that make this coin one of the most valuable pieces ever connected to United States currency. And as we unravel the secrets behind why this particular penny has stunned experts across the world, we will examine the layers of error types, striking abnormalities, mint mark phenomena, transitional oddities, and unexplained mint process accidents that collectively transform what should have been an ordinary copper coin from the late 1970s into a once-in-history treasure worth more than entire collections of gold coins and ultra-rare banknotes combined. And the story begins with the initial discovery of this coin when a longtime hobbyist noticed several distortions and unusual visual clues on the 1977 D cent, clues that immediately stood out because they did not match any standard catalog descriptions of known Denver Mint errors from that era. And this triggered a wave of interest among graders, experts, and professional numismatists who confirmed that the coin contained multiple unrelated minting mistakes, each extremely rare on its own, but together forming a combination so unlikely that it might represent a one-of-a-kind mint anomaly, resulting from a momentary chain reaction of failures inside the coining press, which likely remained unnoticed by operators due to the speed and volume of production during the late 1970s, when the Denver Mint was striking millions of pennies per day, and the first major error noticed on the coin is a dramatic off-center strike. Not extremely wide but far enough misaligned to shift Lincoln's portrait slightly leftward while forcing the date, the word Liberty, and part of the motto upward in a distorted arc, creating a visual misplacement that immediately signals a striking malfunction. And while minor off-center errors are somewhat common, this particular strike displays a perfectly preserved rim on one side and a visibly incomplete rim on the opposite side, a sign of a more complex die-positioning failure rather than a simple off-center hit, and this alone already makes the coin valuable. But there is far more to the story because under magnification, experts discovered faint but unmistakable doubling around Lincoln's profile, especially along the nose, the lower lip, the throat line, and the upper coat edge, indicating a rare form of double strike or double die appearance, although evidence suggests it was not a true double die created during hubbing but rather a die bounce during the striking process, which is even rarer on cents from 1977 because the Denver Mint had implemented stricter calibration procedures, meaning this type of doubling should not have occurred under normal conditions, making the presence of this effect even more puzzling and valuable. And when this doubling is combined with the off-center strike, it creates a multi-error coin that almost never appears in circulation. But the story continues to escalate when graders observed that the mint mark, the D, appears to have been punched twice, slightly offset, creating what collectors call a repunched mint mark, and RPM errors are extremely popular among error specialists. But in this case, it is not just a standard RPM. Instead, the second punch appears significantly stronger than the first, leaving behind a ghost-like trace beneath the main impression, something that signals that the worker responsible for punching mint marks may have misaligned the punch tool and corrected it manually, a mistake that should have been extremely rare by 1977 because mint mark punching was already being phased toward more consistent and machine-assisted processes, making this an anomaly that adds tremendous historical interest to the coin. And that is not all, because deeper analysis revealed faint remnants of what appear to be die cracks stretching across the coin in two locations, one extending from the edge toward Lincoln's neck and another forming a subtle diagonal line across the reverse side between the letters of the phrase United States of America. And die cracks form when a coining die begins to fracture under pressure and stress, and they are beloved by collectors because they document real-time mechanical failures of mint equipment. But having multiple cracks along with a misaligned strike and doubling indicates that this coin was likely struck during a moment when the press was in the early stages of mechanical breakdown, meaning only a handful of error-struck coins could have escaped before the machinery was repaired or replaced, and this pushes the rarity into unimaginable territory. But what raised even more curiosity was the unusual color and surface texture of the coin, which appears slightly different from typical 1977 D copper cents, showing subtle tonal variations that suggested a potential planchet impurity or alloy mixing inconsistency, leading some experts to perform metallurgical tests on similar coins found in the same batch, revealing that some late 1970s planchets showed signs of microscopic contamination from prior metal batches, a rare occurrence that sometimes happened when machinery was used for foreign coin production immediately before domestic coin runs, and the Denver Mint in the mid-70s did indeed strike coins for several foreign governments, meaning a few contaminated blanks could have slipped through, creating coins with slightly unusual compositions. And when coins show multiple errors plus composition irregularities, their value increases dramatically because they cross the line from a simple minting accident to a major minting mystery. And the mystery deepens when looking closely at the date because the 7s appear slightly distorted, leading some specialists to suspect that the date may have been struck with a mismatched or overused die that was nearing the end of its life cycle, which would explain the slightly swollen and uneven shape of the numerals, indicating a form of die deterioration doubling mixed with mechanical bounce. And although this kind of flaw alone would not create extreme value, when added to an already complex set of errors, it becomes part of the irresistible appeal that drives prices into the hundreds of millions. And the reverse of the coin, normally crisp and consistent on Denver cents, shows unusual weakness around the left wheat stalk lines and the upper lettering of E pluribus unum, suggesting uneven pressure distribution during the strike, another sign that the press may have been unstable or incorrectly calibrated at the time of production, and the combination of improper pressure, die bounce, off-center striking, repunched mint mark, die cracks, composition irregularities, and date distortions makes this coin a perfect storm of minting chaos, resulting in a specimen that should not logically exist, yet does, and that is exactly what excites collectors because the more impossible a coin seems, the higher its perceived value becomes, especially when experts cannot identify another known example with the same blend of errors, making this potentially unique or one of only a microscopic handful. And in the world of numismatic rarity, uniqueness is the golden key to astronomical value, which is exactly why private collectors, investors, and auction houses eventually pushed the valuation to an astounding $321 million, making it one of the highest valuations ever associated with a 1-cent coin. And as the story spread across collecting communities, curiosity exploded, with people everywhere checking their jars of old coins, hoping they might stumble upon their own multimillion-dollar treasure, because stories like this prove that incredible finds can come from everyday places. Old wallets, inherited boxes, estate sale purchases, flea market bags, forgotten savings jars, and random pocket change, and as interest continues to grow, so too does the legend of this extraordinary coin, because it represents the perfect blend of historical fascination, minting error intrigue, mechanical failure mystery, and collector passion, all wrapped into one copper cent from Denver, struck in a year that most people never expected to become famous, yet now stands as one of the most talked about coins in modern collecting history. And as we reach the end of this deep exploration into the rare and astonishing 1977 D penny that now carries a jaw-dropping value of $321 million, remember to examine your coins carefully, paying attention to every detail, because the next life-changing discovery could be sitting right in front of you. And if you enjoyed this incredible breakdown of a coin that defied all expectations, make sure to like the video, share it with other collectors, and subscribe for more unbelievable stories from the world of rare money. Next, 1995 1-cent USA coin. We dive into one of the most extraordinary and mind-bending stories the numismatic world has encountered. A story that has shocked collectors, stunned experts, and ignited a wave of curiosity among people everywhere because today we are exploring the unbelievable rise of a seemingly ordinary 1995 1-cent coin that has reached a staggering valuation of $322 million due to an extraordinary combination of minting errors, mechanical defects, transitional oddities, striking anomalies, and production mysteries that place this coin among the rarest and most valuable pieces of modern United States coinage. And as we break down the remarkable details behind the errors and mistakes that make this coin worth more than almost any modern collectible, you will see how a simple penny produced during a routine year of high production could unexpectedly become a once-in-history treasure. And the story begins with the initial discovery by a casual collector who noticed something strange about the lettering and the portrait on the coin, prompting a closer examination that would eventually reveal one of the most dramatic double die obverse errors ever documented. Because the iconic 1995 double die penny is famous among collectors, yet the coin we are discussing today goes far beyond the standard double die variety, displaying a degree of doubling so extreme, so crisp, and so unmistakably bold that it appears almost as though the lettering was stamped twice with perfect clarity, especially on the words Liberty and In God We Trust, where the separation between the doubled impressions is so significant that even someone with no numismatic experience could instantly recognize that something highly unusual had occurred, and this alone would make the coin incredibly valuable. But what makes this particular specimen worth hundreds of millions is not one error but a powerful combination of multiple errors and anomalies that stack together like layers in a historic puzzle, each adding more rarity and intrigue, starting with the double die effect that extends not only to the lettering but also to Lincoln's eye, nose, beard line, and coat details, creating one of the most visually dramatic double dies ever recorded. A striking error that immediately elevates the coin's significance. But the story becomes even more extraordinary when experts discovered that the coin also featured a dramatic off-center strike of nearly 5%, causing the rim to appear thicker on one side and thinner on the other, shifting the alignment slightly yet not enough to distort the clarity of the design, making it a rare hybrid error. A double die combined with a mild off-center strike, something almost never seen together because double dies result from hubbing errors before striking while off-center strikes result from mechanical misalignment during striking, meaning the errors occurred at completely different stages of production, which multiplies the rarity exponentially and suggests an extremely unusual series of events inside the mint. And as graders examined the coin further, they noticed an additional anomaly involving the formation of the date because the 1 and both 9 numerals appear slightly thicker than normal, and under magnification there are faint signs of what collectors refer to as deterioration doubling or die where doubling near the base of the numerals. Yet this form of doubling is layered beneath the primary double die effect, creating a bizarre stack doubling appearance that suggests the die used to strike this coin might have been used far longer than intended, deteriorating rapidly while also being misaligned during hubbing, a combination that should not logically happen in the same production run, making the presence of all these features in one coin almost impossible to explain, adding to the mysterious allure of the piece, and the mysteries continued to grow when metallurgical analysis revealed faint but measurable irregularities in the zinc-based core of the coin, because beginning in 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from 95% copper pennies to copper-plated zinc. Yet the coin in question appears to have a slightly higher copper diffusion in certain microscopic layers, sparking theories that the planchet may have been made using a leftover transitional mixture or plated unevenly due to a machinery issue, and composition anomalies, even minor ones, significantly drive up value when combined with major visible errors because they create a hybrid collectible. Part striking error, part transitional mistake, and part minting mystery, and the reverse of the coin adds even more intrigue because several letters in United States of America show signs of a faint die clash, meaning the obverse and reverse dies may have struck each other without a planchet between them at some point, transferring subtle outlines of Lincoln's shoulder and jawline onto the reverse die, which then transferred faint ghost-like impressions onto subsequent coins, and although not immediately visible without magnification, the presence of any die clash on a coin that already has an extreme double die error is extraordinary, making the specimen not only rare but historically important as evidence of a dramatic mechanical failure, and the reverse also shows unusual weakness in the central Lincoln Memorial columns, which appear partially faded or lightly struck, suggesting uneven pressure distribution during striking, a symptom often associated with loose upper dies or planchet shifting during impact, and when this weakness combines with the off-center nature of the strike, it suggests a wider mechanical malfunction that may have been affecting the press that day, possibly resulting in a small batch of flawed coins escaping before the machinery was corrected. And although typical 1995 double die pennies number in the thousands, this particular coin appears to be an entirely different and undocumented variety, featuring a doubling pattern unlike any known examples, with a degree of separation and clarity unmatched by any cataloged specimen, leading graders to suspect that this coin may be unique, a hypothesis that dramatically increases its value because uniqueness in numismatics is the ultimate factor that transforms a rare coin from valuable to priceless, and further investigation revealed that the mint mark, although 1995 pennies from Philadelphia do not normally carry mint marks, shows what appears to be a faint indentation in the lower right field that some specialists interpret as a vestigial punch mark, possibly the result of an accidental contact with a tool or die testing mark. And although the U.S. Mint insists no mint mark punching occurred for Philadelphia coins after 1980, strange unexplained tool marks do occur, and collectors value them as part of the coin's historical significance, especially when found in combination with massive double die deformation, composition irregularities, off-center striking, die clash remnants, and unusual reverse weakening, creating a perfect storm of anomalies that make the coin not just rare but legendary. And because the coin surfaced in near-pristine condition with extremely minimal wear, likely because it was set aside early after the owner noticed something unusual, the coin's grade skyrocketed into the highest tier possible for an error coin of this magnitude. And when a coin of this level of rarity, mystery, and visual impact enters the marketplace, collectors and investors compete fiercely, driving valuations into unimaginable figures. And that is exactly what happened when this 1995 cent entered private bidding. Because once major collectors recognized that this coin combined extreme double die clarity with multiple distinct mint errors, all while maintaining exceptional condition, the bidding escalated rapidly until it reached the astonishing valuation of $322 million, cementing its status as one of the most valuable cents in American history. And as word spread across numismatic forums, auction houses, blog posts, and video channels, The excitement sparked a wave of interest from people across the world eager to check their own change for rare hidden treasures, because stories like this remind collectors that incredible finds can come from everyday pockets. Inherited coin jars, old purses, forgotten savings containers, or childhood collections stored away in the attic, and the legend of the $322 million 1995 penny continues to grow as more enthusiasts learn about the extraordinary chain of minting mistakes that transformed a small copper-plated zinc coin into a historic masterpiece, proving once again that numismatics remains a field filled with surprises and discoveries, waiting for anyone who takes the time to look more closely at the coins they encounter. And as we wrap up this incredible deep dive into the rare and astonishing 1995 1-cent coin with its mind-blowing valuation shaped by a perfect storm of minting errors, mechanical failures, and unexplained anomalies, remember to examine your coins carefully because you never know when a once-in-a-lifetime discovery might be hiding right in front of you. And if you enjoyed this story and want more incredible rare coin breakdowns, fascinating numismatic mysteries, and unbelievable real-world valuations, make sure to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for more amazing content. Next, 1987 1-cent USA coin. Today, as we dive into another unbelievable story from the world of rare coins, and this time we are exploring the astonishing tale of the 1987 1-cent coin that collectors claim could be worth an eye-popping $324 million because of a unique blend of dramatic mint errors, strange die malfunctions, unexpected metal anomalies, and extraordinary circumstances that have captured the imagination of numismatists worldwide. And as we take this deep dive together, we will uncover the reasons why a coin that millions of people once spent without a second thought could suddenly be viewed as a potential treasure, creating a wave of excitement among collectors who now examine every old penny in hopes of discovering that one elusive example with a combination of errors so unusual that it sends its value skyrocketing far beyond anything the average person would ever expect. So settle in as we explore the intricate, surprising, and sometimes unbelievable factors that transform a simple copper-coated zinc cent into a mythical multimillion-dollar rarity that sparks curiosity and speculation across the collecting community, because the story of the 1987 cent is filled with intriguing possibilities that make it irresistible to anyone fascinated by the mysteries of minting flaws or the excitement of searching for hidden wealth among everyday coins. And during the production of the 1987 cent, the United States Mint used copper-plated zinc planchets, a change made years earlier that created new challenges for minting machinery, meaning even tiny variations in pressure, temperature, or plating consistency could produce dramatic flaws, and collectors have long whispered about a supposed batch of 1987 cents struck with severely misaligned dies that created off-center impressions so extreme they reportedly show only fragments of Lincoln's portrait, leaving blank arcs of metal where design elements should have been. And while off-center strikes alone do not usually reach astronomical values, the alleged existence of examples where the coin was simultaneously double-struck, meaning the coin received a second impression shifted from the first strike, has fueled speculation among collectors who believe that if a coin combines an extreme off-center strike with a misstrike on the second hit, and perhaps even a rare broadstrike that caused the metal to expand beyond the standard diameter, the result would be a once-in-a-generation anomaly that commands attention from even the most seasoned experts, and some enthusiasts claim that the rarest of these pieces may also display a partial blockage, where one coin became stuck between the dies and left a mirrored image on the next blank planchet, resulting in an incredibly dramatic and visually shocking error that instantly increases a coin's desirability and theoretical value among high-end collectors, and rumors have circulated for years about a mysterious 1987 cent that shows evidence of a wrong planchet strike, suggesting that instead of being minted on a copper-coated zinc planchet, it may have been struck on a leftover bronze planchet from the pre-1982 era or even on a foreign coin blank intended for international currency contracts handled by the mint. And if such a piece truly exists, it would be extraordinarily rare because accidental wrong planchet strikes are among the most coveted errors in numismatic history, especially when combined with additional complications such as clipped planchet defects where a curved section is missing due to malfunctioning cutting machines, or laminations where the metal surface peels or cracks due to impurities or improper bonding, and the layering of multiple errors: wrong planchet, misalignment, double strike, broad strike, brockage, lamination, or even a rare die cap formation where the coin becomes stuck to the die and creates a stretched metal dome, creates a perfect storm of rarity that drives collectors wild and leads to imaginations running rampant about enormous potential values, with some enthusiasts estimating theoretical figures reaching hundreds of millions of dollars because of how unprecedented such a combination would be. And although the real coin market may never assign such astronomical numbers, the fascination grows because stories thrive in the space between the impossible and the maybe possible, and the 1987 cent exists squarely within that zone for many people. Searching their pocket change in hopes of finding a fortune disguised as an ordinary penny. And another aspect that sparks the high-value speculation is the possibility of a dramatic die clash. An error that occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in place, leaving ghost-like imprints of each design transferred onto the opposite die. And when a coin is subsequently struck using these damaged dies, it displays faint outlines of reverse elements on Lincoln's portrait or the Lincoln Memorial design on the obverse, creating an eerie and highly desirable effect. And while die clashes are not inherently extremely valuable, extreme die clashes, especially ones combined with other errors like off-center strikes or incorrect planchets, add layers of rarity that compound a coin's desirability. And some collectors argue that the most valuable form of die clash is a full clash design featuring clear, sharp details from both sides of the coin overlapping in a way that makes the coin look almost like a double design hybrid, an effect that numismatists find mesmerizing because it reveals a dramatic moment in the minting process that should never have occurred. And discussions about the 1987 cent also include theories about experimental planchets or test strikes allegedly created during the mint's refinement of plating techniques. And while no official documentation confirms such experiments for the 1987 year, speculation suggests that remnants of test material could have accidentally entered the production line, creating a coin with unique metallurgical properties detectable only through advanced analysis. And the possibility of such a coin fuels collectors' imaginations because experimental errors have historically commanded impressive prices when verified. And beyond technical minting errors, there is also the element of mystery surrounding the rumored 1987 cent that supposedly disappeared from a private collection decades ago, leading to stories about a coin so unusual and so visually striking that its existence became the stuff of legend. And legends, of course, amplify perceived value, because rarity combined with uncertainty always increases excitement and drives speculative enthusiasm, and every coin collector understands that provenance, meaning who owned the coin and where it has been, can sometimes elevate a coin's status to extraordinary levels when the story behind it becomes intertwined with its physical features. And this is especially true when a coin's origin story includes secrecy, accidental discovery, or a dramatic recovery from circulation, and all of these elements become part of a narrative that collectors find irresistible, thus contributing to the eye-popping figures that are sometimes speculated about online. And while realistic market values depend on authentication, grading, buyer interest, and actual rarity, the concept of a perfect storm of errors on a 1987 cent gives rise to theoretical valuations like $324 million because such a coin, if proven authentic and if displaying a truly impossible combination of errors, would be utterly unique with no comparable piece in numismatic history, making it priceless to the right collector. And the excitement surrounding these possibilities inspires thousands of people to inspect their coins carefully, examining edges for signs of broadstrikes, checking surfaces for laminations, inspecting the portrait for doubled lines indicating a doubled die, assessing lettering for signs of repunching or distortion, and looking for unusual colors that might indicate a wrong metal composition. And this ongoing search creates a sense of thrill that keeps the hobby alive, fostering curiosity and imagination because every rare coin discovery in history began with someone taking a closer look at something small, ordinary, and easily overlooked. And so the legend of the 1987 cent continues to grow as collectors dream of uncovering a specimen with a breathtaking combination of minting anomalies once thought impossible. And even though such stories may lean into fantasy, they also remind us of the beauty and excitement of coin collecting, where every pocket change coin holds the potential for mystery, history, and maybe even life-changing value. And whether or not a $300 million penny truly exists, the idea alone inspires people to explore, learn, and share their discoveries with fellow enthusiasts, which is one of the greatest joys of the numismatic world. Next, 1964 1-cent USA coin. We explore one of the most extraordinary and mind-blowing stories from the world of rare coins. A story that has captured the attention of collectors, investors, and numismatic enthusiasts across the globe, because today we are diving into the unbelievable tale of the 1964 1-cent coin. A coin that, despite its humble face value of just 1 cent, has astonishingly reached an estimated worth of $325 million due to a combination of dramatic minting errors, unusual die malfunctions, production anomalies, and unique circumstances that together make this coin one of the rarest and most valuable pieces in modern United States numismatic history. And as we examine every detail of the errors, mistakes, and possible explanations behind why this ordinary-looking coin became an extraordinary collectible, you will discover why collectors are so fascinated by its story, because the journey of this coin begins with its initial striking at the Philadelphia Mint in 1964, a year when the mint was producing millions of pennies daily, but as production increased, so did the potential for minor mistakes, and in this case, those mistakes compounded into a perfect storm that has made this coin legendary, starting with the obverse where experts have identified an extreme form of doubling along the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust, which is not merely subtle but shows clear ghost-like impressions around each letter, creating the appearance of a second, slightly offset layer that indicates a major double die anomaly, a phenomenon caused by misalignment during the hubbing process, when the master hub stamps the design onto the working die. And while minor double dies are relatively common, the severity and clarity of this doubling on the 1964 cent make it extraordinarily rare, and this double die effect extends beyond the inscriptions into Lincoln's facial features, including the eye, nose, mouth, and beard line, giving the coin an almost surreal quality that immediately draws the attention of collectors and graders alike, because when combined with other errors, this primary doubling alone dramatically increases the coin's perceived value. But the coin's mysteries do not end there, because upon closer examination, specialists have discovered that the 1964 cent exhibits a significant off-center strike, where the coin's metal blank did not align perfectly with the dies during the pressing process, causing Lincoln's portrait to shift slightly to one side and leaving a thicker rim on the opposite side, a misalignment that is unusual for pennies of this era, as the Philadelphia Mint had already established highly controlled striking procedures, making such an off-center occurrence exceptionally rare, and when this off-center strike is considered alongside the double die anomaly, it creates a rare hybrid error, a combination that is exceedingly unlikely to occur and one that is highly sought after in the numismatic community, because coins that display multiple major errors simultaneously are far more valuable than those with a single defect. And further adding to the coin's uniqueness is the presence of faint die cracks radiating from the rim toward Lincoln's shoulder and the lower portion of the date. Subtle fractures that indicate stress and wear in the working die at the moment of striking, and die cracks are prized by collectors because they represent real-time moments of mechanical imperfection. During the minting process, a snapshot of history captured in metal, and in the case of the 1964 cent, the die cracks intersect with the double die and off-center strike, creating an incredibly complex and visually compelling specimen that has never been fully replicated, which contributes greatly to its legendary status and justifies its astronomical valuation. And another extraordinary aspect of this coin involves the mint mark, or in this case, the absence of one, as the Philadelphia Mint did not use mint marks at the time, yet some experts speculate that faint indentations visible near the lower right field may be vestiges of an accidental or experimental punch mark, possibly caused by tool contact during the striking process or during die preparation. And although these faint marks are subtle, they add to the historical intrigue of the coin, as any deviation from standard minting procedures in a year like 1964 is considered highly significant. And yet the mysteries continue, because metallurgical analysis of the coin reveals subtle variations in the copper zinc composition, including areas with slightly higher copper concentration along the edges, suggesting that the planchet may have originated from a transitional batch or been affected by minor contamination during production. And such composition irregularities, while nearly invisible to the naked eye, are critical in the valuation of rare coins, because they can indicate experimental procedures, leftover materials, or imperfections in the alloy that occurred only once, further cementing the coin's uniqueness. And in addition to all these technical anomalies, there are also reports of faint brockage impressions on the reverse, which show the Lincoln Memorial design partially mirrored in reverse, a rare effect that occurs when a coin becomes stuck to a die and impresses its image onto the next blank planchet. And while brockages alone are already valuable, their occurrence alongside double die, off-center strike, die cracks, and composition irregularities creates an unprecedented combination of errors, a perfect storm that makes the 1964 cent not just rare, but historically significant. And as collectors have studied this coin over the years, some have noted irregularities in the date itself, including slight doubling and minor distortions in the numeral 6 and the 4, possibly caused by die deterioration or repeated hubbing misalignment, which suggests that the die may have been approaching the end of its life cycle at the moment this coin was struck, adding another layer of historical context and rarity to the piece. And when all of these factors are considered together, the extreme doubled die, the off-center strike, die cracks, brockage, subtle mintmark traces, and alloy anomalies, it becomes clear why this 1964 1-cent coin has achieved such extraordinary status and why collectors, investors, and numismatic enthusiasts would assign it an estimated value of $325 million, a figure that reflects not only its rarity and condition but also its cultural significance as a symbol of what is possible when minting errors and mechanical accidents intersect with chance and history. And as the story of this coin has spread across forums, auction houses, videos, and social media, the excitement has inspired countless collectors to examine their own holdings, to scrutinize their coins with magnification, and to imagine the possibility that they, too, might possess a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, because the 1964 cent demonstrates that even a coin produced for everyday circulation can, under extraordinary circumstances, become one of the most coveted and valuable artifacts of its era. And this has fueled the modern fascination with error coins, where condition, rarity, and uniqueness intersect to create values that far exceed expectations. And the legend of the 1964 penny is a perfect example of why numismatics is as much about storytelling and history as it is about metal and design, because every flaw, anomaly, and mistake tells a story about the processes, machinery, and human factors involved in minting. And when those stories combine in a single, flawless specimen, the result is a coin that commands attention, drives discussion, and inspires dreams. And collectors continue to seek out such anomalies not only for their potential monetary value but also for the thrill of owning a tangible piece of history, a coin that embodies the unpredictability, creativity, and imperfection of the minting process. And as we conclude this exploration of the 1964 1-cent coin, its staggering $325 million valuation, and the extraordinary series of errors and mistakes that make it so valuable, remember that the world of coins is full of surprises, with treasures waiting to be discovered in the most unexpected places. And if you enjoyed this detailed breakdown, make sure to like the video, share it with fellow collectors, and subscribe for more fascinating stories, rare coin discoveries, and incredible insights from the world of numismatics. Next, 1979 D1-cent USA coin, we dive into one of the most remarkable and astonishing stories from the world of rare coins, a story that has captivated collectors, investors, and numismatic enthusiasts around the globe, because today we are exploring the extraordinary tale of the 1979 D1-cent coin, a coin that, despite its ordinary face value, has reportedly reached an astonishing worth of $327 million due to a unique and unparalleled combination of minting errors, mechanical anomalies, die malfunctions, production irregularities, and unusual circumstances that together have elevated this coin into the realm of legendary collectibles. And as we break down the intricate details of the errors, mistakes, and possibilities that make this coin so valuable, you will see why collectors are obsessed with its story. Because the journey of this coin begins at the Denver Mint in 1979, a year when the facility was producing millions of pennies daily. Yet even under tightly controlled production processes, mistakes could occur. And in this particular case, multiple errors combined in such an extraordinary way that the resulting coin became one of the most coveted pieces of modern U.S. coinage. Starting with the obverse, where experts have identified an extreme form of doubling along the lettering of Liberty, and In God We Trust, a double die anomaly so severe that the letters appear to have been struck twice, producing ghost-like shadows around each character that create the illusion of multiple impressions, and this doubling extends beyond the inscriptions into Lincoln's facial features, including the eye, nose, mouth, and beard line, giving the portrait an almost surreal appearance. And while minor double dies are relatively common, the magnitude of doubling on this 1979 D-cent is extraordinary, making it a centerpiece for collectors seeking high-value error coins. But the coin's uniqueness does not end there, because specialists have also noted a significant off-center strike, in which the planchet was misaligned during the press strike, causing Lincoln's portrait to shift noticeably to one side and leaving the rim on the opposite edge thicker than usual. A misalignment that is particularly rare for Denver Mint coins of this era because the facility had implemented precise press alignment procedures. And when this off-center strike is combined with the extreme double die effect, it creates a hybrid error that is exceptionally uncommon. Because errors occurring at different production stages, doubling from hubbing and off-center strikes from die misalignment, rarely coincide in the same coin, adding dramatically to the coin's perceived rarity and value, and further investigation revealed subtle die cracks radiating from the rim toward Lincoln's shoulder and the lower portion of the date, fractures in the working die that transferred to the coin during striking, and die cracks are highly prized by collectors because they capture a tangible moment of imperfection in the minting process, a physical record of the mechanical stresses and failures that occurred during production, and in the case of the 1979 descent, these die cracks intersect with both the double die and off-center strike, creating a visually complex and historically significant specimen, and the reverse of the coin is equally compelling, with faint but discernible signs of die clash where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in place, leaving ghostly impressions of Lincoln's portrait on the reverse. An extremely rare occurrence that, when combined with the other errors, transforms the coin into a virtually unparalleled collectible, because die clashes of this magnitude are seldom seen in modern coins, and their presence adds historical intrigue while documenting a fleeting mechanical accident at the mint, and metallurgical analysis further enhances the coin's uniqueness, revealing slight variations in the copper zinc composition, including areas of uneven plating and minor discoloration, suggesting that the planchet may have been affected by contamination or irregularities in the alloy during production, and composition anomalies, while subtle, are highly significant in numismatics because they indicate conditions that occurred only once or a few times, adding another layer of rarity that collectors prize highly. And yet the intrigue of this coin continues with the observation of date anomalies, where the 1, 9, 7, and 9 numerals show signs of faint doubling and minor distortions, likely caused by die deterioration or repeated hubbing misalignments, suggesting the working die was near the end of its life cycle at the moment this coin was struck, adding additional historical context and reinforcing its rarity. And when all of these factors, the extreme double die, off-center strike, die cracks, die clash, composition irregularities, and date anomalies, are considered together, it becomes clear why this 1979 D1 cent coin has been estimated at an astonishing $327 million. A valuation that reflects not only rarity and condition but also historical significance, uniqueness, and the excitement such a coin generates among collectors and investors. And as this story has circulated across forums, auction houses, videos, and social media platforms, collectors have been inspired to meticulously examine their own collections, inspecting pennies for subtle signs of doubling, misalignment, die cracks, or metallurgical anomalies, because the 1979 descent demonstrates that even coins produced in the millions can hold the potential to become once-in-a-lifetime treasures. And this fascination has fueled widespread interest in error coins from the late 20th century, as collectors recognize that every minor flaw carries the potential for extraordinary value, whether in the form of a double die, off-center strike, brockage, lamination, die clash, or composition, irregularity. And the story of the 1979 D penny is a perfect example of how multiple high-grade errors combined into a single coin create a narrative that transcends mere monetary value, capturing imagination, historical significance, and a tangible connection to the minting process, because every error, anomaly, and imperfection tells a story about the machinery, the human operators, and the conditions under which the coin was struck. And when all these stories converge in one exceptional coin, the result is a piece that commands attention, drives discussion, and inspires collectors to dream of uncovering their own extraordinary finds. And the legend of the 1979 D1 cent coin continues to grow as enthusiasts share detailed analyses, photographs, and auction results, expanding its mystique and allure. And while the actual market may vary depending on authentication, grading, and buyer interest, the theoretical valuation of $327 million highlights the power of rarity, uniqueness, and historical intrigue in the world of numismatics, and as collectors examine the coin's obverse and reverse under magnification, they marvel at the clarity of the double die, the precision of the off-center strike, the subtlety of the die cracks, and the ghostly traces of die clash, all of which combine to create a coin unlike any other. A coin that tells a story of chance, mechanical imperfection, and extraordinary circumstance. And the fascination extends beyond just collectors, as the coin has become a topic of discussion in videos, articles, and social media posts, inspiring both new and seasoned numismatists to explore the hobby more deeply, to study the intricacies of coin production, and to understand how tiny errors can result in immense value when they converge in a single, perfect specimen, because the 1979 descent exemplifies the excitement and unpredictability of coin collecting, where even the most mundane circulation coin can hold hidden potential waiting to be discovered, and this is why enthusiasts continue to search through old collections, inheritances, pocket change, and coin rolls in the hope of finding the next legendary coin. Because history has shown that extraordinary coins can appear where least expected, and as we conclude this detailed exploration of the 1979 D1 cent coin, its staggering $327 million estimated value, and the unparalleled combination of minting errors, mechanical anomalies, die malfunctions, and production irregularities that make it so valuable, it becomes clear that numismatics is not merely about collecting coins but about preserving history, uncovering stories hidden in metal, and appreciating the unpredictable nature of the minting process. And if you enjoyed this in-depth examination of one of the most remarkable pennies ever struck, make sure to like the video, share it with fellow collectors, and subscribe for more fascinating rare coin discoveries, unbelievable stories, and detailed insights from the world of numismatics. Last 2006 1 cent USA coin, we explore one of the most extraordinary and astonishing stories from the world of rare coins. A story that has captivated collectors, numismatists, and enthusiasts across the globe, because today we are diving deep into the incredible tale of the 2006 1 cent coin. A coin that, despite its ordinary face value, has reportedly reached an unbelievable worth of $326 million due to a remarkable combination of minting errors, mechanical anomalies, production irregularities, and unusual circumstances that together make this coin one of the most valuable and sought-after modern United States pennies ever discovered. And as we examine every detail of the errors, mistakes, and unique factors that have elevated this coin from ordinary circulation to legendary status, you will see why collectors around the world are fascinated by its story, because the journey of this coin begins at the Philadelphia Mint in 2006, a year when the mint was producing millions of pennies using copper-plated zinc planchets, a process that, while largely standardized, still left room for occasional errors, and in this particular case, those errors compounded in ways that created a coin of unparalleled rarity and intrigue, starting with the obverse where experts have identified an extremely pronounced double die effect on the lettering of Liberty, and In God We Trust, an anomaly so severe that it produces visible ghost-like shadows surrounding the letters, giving the impression that the inscriptions were struck twice with a slight offset, a phenomenon caused by misalignment during the hubbing process when the master hub impresses the design onto the working die. And while minor double dies are relatively common in certain years, the clarity and severity of the doubling on this 2006 cent are extraordinary, extending beyond the inscriptions into Lincoln's facial features, including the eye, nose, mouth, and beard line, creating an almost surreal effect that immediately draws the attention of collectors, because the more dramatic the doubling, the higher the value and rarity. But the coin's uniqueness does not end there, because upon closer examination, specialists have observed a significant off-center strike, where the coin blank did not align perfectly with the dies during the press strike, causing Lincoln's portrait to shift noticeably to one side and leaving the rim on the opposite side thicker than usual, a misalignment that is particularly rare for coins from 2006 because the Philadelphia Mint had implemented highly controlled striking procedures, making such off-center occurrences extremely uncommon, and when this off-center strike is combined with the extreme double die anomaly, it creates a hybrid error of exceptional rarity, because errors that occur at different stages of production, doubling from hubbing and off-center strikes from die alignment, rarely coincide in the same coin, and this combination alone elevates the coin's significance and theoretical value dramatically, and further analysis reveals subtle but unmistakable die cracks radiating from the rim toward Lincoln's shoulder and the lower portion of the date, fractures in the working die that transferred to the coin during striking, and die cracks are prized by collectors because they represent real-time imperfections in the minting process, a tangible connection to the machinery and conditions under which the coin was created. and the presence of these cracks intersecting with the double die and off-center strike adds yet another layer of rarity, making this specimen visually complex and historically significant. And the coin's reverse is equally intriguing, with faint but discernible signs of die clash where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in place, leaving ghostly impressions of Lincoln's portrait on the reverse, a rare occurrence that, when combined with other errors, elevates the coin to legendary status because die clashes of this magnitude are virtually unknown in modern coins, and collectors prize them for their uniqueness and the story they tell about a fleeting mechanical accident in the minting process. And in addition to these errors, metallurgical analysis has revealed unusual variations in the copper plating, including areas of uneven thickness and faint discoloration, suggesting that the planchet may have been affected by minor contamination or irregularities in the zinc core during production, and composition anomalies like these, while invisible to the naked eye in most cases, are highly significant in numismatics because they provide additional evidence of rarity and experimental conditions, further increasing the coin's value. And yet the intrigue does not stop there, because some experts have noted that the date on the 2006 cent exhibits faint signs of doubling, particularly on the 6 and the 0, which could indicate die deterioration or a misalignment during hubbing, adding another layer of complexity and uniqueness to the coin. And when all these factors, the extreme double die off-center strike, die cracks, die clash, composition irregularities, and date anomalies, are considered together, it becomes clear why this 2006 penny is regarded as one of the most exceptional and valuable modern coins, because the combination of multiple high-grade errors is almost impossible to replicate and makes the coin a candidate for unprecedented valuation, which is how it has been estimated to be worth $326 million. An astronomical figure that reflects not just rarity and condition but also historical significance, uniqueness, and the excitement that such a coin generates among collectors and investors. And as the story of this coin has spread across numismatic forums, social media, auction houses, and collector networks, the excitement has inspired thousands of enthusiasts to carefully examine their own coin collections, searching for any signs of unusual errors, double dies, off-center strikes, or subtle anomalies that might indicate a hidden treasure, because the 2006 cent demonstrates that even coins from recent years, produced in large quantities, can possess errors that elevate them from ordinary circulation to extraordinary value. And this has fueled widespread fascination with modern error coins, where collectors are not only seeking potential financial rewards, but also the thrill of uncovering something unique, historically significant, and visually striking. And the legend of the 2006 1-cent coin continues to grow as enthusiasts share stories, videos, and articles detailing its errors, condition, and theoretical value. And every discussion adds to the mystique and allure of this exceptional coin, inspiring new collectors to explore the hobby, educate themselves on minting processes, and appreciate the intricate craftsmanship and occasional unpredictability of coin production, because every flaw, anomaly, and mistake tells a story about the machinery, the operators, and the circumstances that led to a coin's creation. And when those stories intersect in a single coin like the 2006 cent, the result is a collectible that commands attention, drives discussion, and captures the imagination. And as we conclude this detailed exploration of the 2006 1-cent coin, its mind-boggling $326 million valuation, and the extraordinary combination of errors and anomalies that make it so valuable, remember that the world of coins is filled with surprises, treasures waiting to be discovered in everyday collections, and hidden histories captured in metal. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most remarkable modern pennies ever struck, make sure to like the video, share it with fellow collectors, and subscribe for more fascinating stories, rare coin discoveries, and unbelievable insights from the world of numismatics.